Another very important market is the internet market, the web services market. So here I have some diagrams of some numbers for Rhapsody. Rhapsody is a online digital music service, and Amazon is online. You can think of it as an online bookstore, and Netflix is an online digital movie provider. Right. So you see the orange lines compared with the yellow lines. These are online providers compared to the traditional ones, and you can see that online service has a lot more inventory than traditional businesses because storing millions of songs digitally is so much easier than having millions of CDs in your store. And one of the key effect of the internet web service market is something called the long tail. The long tail effect. Has anybody heard of long tail? Long tail basically is the statistical distribution that looks like this. You have a very high demand for some very popular titles, or very popular songs, very popular books, or very popular movies. And then there's a long tail of very few users, but looking for some very different kind of items. Turns out, more than half, so you can see that, so the percentage of popular items sold is basically less than 1/4. Okay? And traditional businesses would only have such inventory of the most popular titles. You go to a local supermarket, they're not going to have everything in the world. Right? But if you go to eBay or you go to Taobao in China, then you can buy practically anything you want. Right? So this digital service sells a lot more items than the most popular ones. So that's why it's called the long tail effect. It's called the long tail economy. And the success of Amazon, the success of eBay, the success of Google search, all this success of this internet business is because of this long tail effect. All right, so why am I talking about this? Okay, here's some more examples. This is iTunes marketplace. So when you download songs, buy songs. Most people, so less than half of the songs sold are the most popular ones. And then there's always somebody who wants to buy some songs. So the most popular digital music service provider today in the world is called Spotify. And they have in their stock 18 million songs. All right? And iTunes, when they deliver to Japan, the first month, when the first iTunes started operating in Japan, they had 1 million songs. All right? And every single song was purchased by somebody within the first 4 days. Right? So that's amazing. This long tail effect is amazing. Okay, I'm going to skip this. So what does that have to do with speech and language? Again, there are 3 principles of long tail economy. So first is you have to have everything available, and then the price has to be low. So you're buying one song from iTunes is 99 cents. Right? And sometimes a lot of things are free. And then the most important thing is the third one, which is help me find it. You have 1 million songs in iTunes, right? 18 million on Spotify. And then you have millions of books on Amazon, right? So how do you find them? Right? So you think, oh, search engine, that's easy. So first thing, we use search engine. And then when I'm on a run, I use voice search engine. So search is very, very important. Now, even more important than traditional keyword-based search, suppose I go to Amazon, I want to search for a book. I can type in the author name, I can type in the title, I find the book. But me, personally, most of the time, I buy books from Amazon because they recommended it to me. Right? You go to Amazon, you buy a book, and they will tell you, oh, users who bought this book also bought these other books. Would you like to have them? Turns out, yeah, it is what I'm interested in. It's related to the topic and all that. So yeah, I bought them. Okay? So that is actually, that's been going on for a while already, and that's the next wave of search, what we call personalized search. And personalized search is all cloud, and it's all about speech and language service. So on service, you say you're getting an application called personalized search, and underneath the technology is all speech and language, and I'll explain. So help me find it. Basically, who is me? I'm the user. And what does it mean? So what is the profile of a user? basically it's my history. So for example, now if you use Google, it knows your search history. My preference, my location if you're using a smartphone. And it knows other similar users. So this is the user. So a Siri assistant will know all this about you. And our service will also know this about you. And then it needs to find something for you, right? Find is, of course, the traditional search, but voice search, relevance feedback. The system actually tells you. So, for example, the most simple relevance feedback is when you type a search on Google, and you do a misspelling, and it will tell you, do you mean this? So that's a feedback to you already. Then you click. There's also something called fuzzy matching and semantic search. So I want to search. These days, Google sort of drives me nuts because I cannot always find what I want. There's so much information out there, and I just want to find something really precise. For example, do I need to wear a sweater when I go to Xi'an tomorrow? Right? So I can do Xi'an weather, but it doesn't really tell me, all right? I can do, because when we do keyword search, the user is actually having to think of what keyword to input. A very good personalized search engine shouldn't ask you to do that. You can just ask a question, right? What is the romantic restaurant around here, right? So then what can it find for you? It can find everything for you, right? Find singer, song, genre, mood. We also do that kind of research where we tell you, oh, if you're happy, you can listen to this song. If you're moody, if you're lonely, maybe this song suits your mood. We find restaurant for you, the kind of food you like. We find movies and videos for you. And we also use natural language technology to mine user opinion. So there are a lot of people who comment on a particular restaurant. There are like 100 comments on each restaurant, sometimes thousands now. I don't have time to read them all, right? Can you please summarize it for me? So what people do now is like average star number. Average is 4-star, average is 3-star. Doesn't tell me enough either, right? So what I need to know is that what is it good about, and what are people saying about this restaurant? What are people saying about this movie? And then, do you think I would like this movie? Recommend the movie to me because I like these other movies, and I really like a particular genre of movies, and this is what people are saying about this movie. So Netflix, for example, has such a recommendation service. It's all using technology to do it, right? And we can also summarize news. There's so many news and blogs. Google News. If you have Google News on your smartphone, Google News backend is the automatic system. There's no editor in Google typing this news for you. All right, it's an automatic summarization system that look around the web every day for news and summarizes it and tell you which news is more important as headlines. So it generates these things automatically. That's also the kind of research we do in our lab. All right? Sentiment analysis. That means it's kind of like user opinion, except that it tells you whether people like it or not like it. These days when we go to any website, it always asks us to say you like it, you don't like it, right? So what happened to the results of this and that, right? So there are, again, systems that will analyze user sentiment and do recommendations. So now I want to talk about our cloud service that came out of our lab. So what do we have? We basically have the client side and the cloud side. On the client side, on the client device, what we do is voice recording, voice compression, voice conversion, user profile collection. And we basically do most of everything on the cloud, around the server side, including voice search, voice dialing, collaborative filtering, content recommendation, opinion mining, sentiment analysis, summarization. This is where we can provide our services. And our platform, we support on the client side all the iPhone, iPad, Android phone, Android pad, different car devices. We've been working with Chinese car electronic makers to embed to install our system to their devices, Windows C, Windows 7. And on the cloud, so it's very interesting because on the client device really is nothing to us because we have a very light client software. Okay, you download the software onto your client. It's very light. All it does, as I said before, is just compression recording, and then sends your request to the cloud. Okay, and there's some kind of bandwidth requirement. That's why these days it requires 3G service. Okay, so that's why maybe 5 years ago you still didn't see many of these voice search applications. Now these days 3G service is very popular. Hong Kong has been around for a while, and the coverage is really very good. In China, it started depending where you are. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not so good, and but they're moving, they're improving. And on the cloud side, then we have application server, database server, speech engine, language engine, load balancing, etc. to do the job. And so let me reiterate, the mobile internet market, basically internet business followed the long tail effect, where over half of the content sold are not the most popular items. And in merchandise, as in media content, the more consumers discover, the more they need to consume. That's a terrible thing. And it's a wonderful thing for business people, right? Because, normally, how many books will I buy, right? But with Amazon, it keeps recommending books. You say, yes, yes. All you have to do is click, 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 click. All right? The other day, my friend forwarded me a link to an online site in England that sells dresses. It's a horrible discovery for me. All right? Because it says, you click, right? And then it doesn't fit, you send it back. It's really easy. It's cheaper than you go to a store. You don't have to. I hate shopping. I don't want to try things on and on. So the more we discover, the more we will consume. So the key is how to help people discover things, right? The mobile device now is becoming a consumer's primary media device. I play music on my mobile. My mobile phone is more than just a phone. The last thing it does is make phone calls, right? Because I would text somebody and say, hey, can I call you? You don't just call anybody anymore. You got to text and say, can I call you this afternoon? And maybe you make a call. But this is the last thing I do, right? I surf the internet. I buy things on my mobile phone. I listen to music. I watch YouTube. My kids play games. iPhone. My 2-year-old can use the iPhone. Send emails, all that. So it's a really essential device in our lives. And given the limited screen space and practicality of keyboards on mobile phones, I know BlackBerry users like the keyboard, but I can't really stand that keyboard. So speech input has become a must-have. That's why iPhone 4S has Siri in it, right? iPhone 3 didn't, and in fact, all the iPhones have voice interface. Did you know that? They have always had voice dialing, voice command. If you press the one button hard enough, but the previous voice services were all embedded solutions, and the accuracy is not very high. In fact, that's one of the reasons we did our software, because I just can't stand the iPhone voice dialing, because I never can find anything for me. So our speech and language cloud service differentiate content sale by capitalizing on the long tail effect. And then the car market. Drivers spend long hours per day in the car with not much else to do, and they need hands-free, eyes-free access to infotainment, information and entertainment. So speech and language cloud service brings convenience and access to the driver stuck in the car. That's me a lot of times. So if we dig deeper, we'll go look at the technology. So this is a little bit more technical. There's something called a speech cycle. You have consumer voice request comes in, and there's a technology called automatic speech recognition that converts the voice to text. And then there's something called spoken language understanding, because once you recognize voice into text, you have to do something about it. So you need to understand what people mean. So if I say I want to find a romantic restaurant, or if I say what is the weather like, or is it cold, is it hot, you need to understand that somebody's asking about weather. That's understanding engine. And then there's dialogue management. So the computer will talk back to you. And very often the computer will talk back to you in a synthesized voice, computer voice. That's text-to-speech synthesis. So this is called a speech cycle.